Man, my intro was a horrible fan there. It's gonna be a it's not gonna be a theme. Saying that? I'm gonna continue to be horrible. It's gonna be a theme of the podcast. It's gonna be like how bad can it get? Oh, it's like, hi, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us for the NS podcast. Appreciate your time. And then I'm just like,
especially when you know
silence and then the awkward pause.
Especially when you know the guest really well, you just start rapping.
Oh, so we just did a little NBA chat just to have some NBA content because we're really into that. But maybe we can ask you some questions here we had. So obviously you're a Raptors fan, big. But what do you think? What do you think is gonna make the finals next year? If you were putting some money on it, obviously we have all our dreams and wishes, but if you're a top gambling man,
yeah, I don't know. I'd say gotta put Milwaukee up there.
yeah.
Well, I forgot about Milwaukee and
Milwaukee or Miami. Oh, the East is tight, man. The East is.
I feel like the whole league is tough now. There's just so many good teams.
I don't know. It's getting more and more.
Anybody can come through. Like any of these teams, if they hit and they got good chemistry with some of these new kind of matchups that they got, it could be interesting.
Yeah, that's what I like about NBA right now.
I don't feel like it's ever been like this. And honestly, it's like a lot of people will when it comes to LeBron and Jordan and all that, and it's like, I saw someone was like, when Michael was there, it was like these were the top players. And I don't want to take anything away from Michael, great, but these were the top players, and then when LeBron was, it was like these players, and it's like it's a different category of players these days. Like this is like a whole different. I feel like I don't know, but I wasn't alive, so I don't know. I can't speak to it, right? I can't speak to that era. There's definitely.
I feel like Jordan's different though. During COVID, I remember I would watch full games of the playoffs, classic Bulls, Knicks, finals. I'd watch it in a series, and that's it. He was different.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
the physicality of the game is.
You can't take anything away from him because just because maybe the league wasn't where it was now, but you can't it's just crazy.
I mean, from a physicality standpoint, it was far harder for Jordan than it ever was anybody else. For sure. Playing in that era,
it is nowhere near as soft as it is now. And when you talk about Bird and Magic and all those guys, it was pretty. And it was Clyde Drexler.
Yeah,
guys were these two. So yeah, but I feel like now it's there's just so many good players, and obviously there's been advancements through training and as we've seen lately, and the 3-pointers and all that. That's the game has changed.
So very young player to watch.
Like this year's draft, or just a general young?
Yeah.
General young player to watch.
I'm going Luka for sure.
Yeah.
It's gotta be. Luka for me.
Yeah, I would put it that, but I don't know if that's young. I mean, in terms of the recent draft, he's young. He's young, but I mean, he's 450, 60.
Yeah, he's gotta be in his years.
New player to league. Yeah, Dotson is crazy. Yeah, he just spices people up, and it's effortless, and
he's gotta be top 3.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
I like Trae Young too. He's just he'll throw the shot for it.
Who?
Oh, John Moran. Yeah.
Electric.
That's true.
When you go,
yeah.
Last year,
he is definitely entertaining to watch for sure with the dunks. But I was excited about Chet. I like what
he's out for the year. I think. Yeah, that's right.
I like
LaMelo.
Yeah.
I like LaMelo.
Yeah. The passes and just how he cuts through. Yeah, that's
just tough and smart. He's very smart for him.
We were talking about Zion earlier too. Got down a lot of weight. Looks like he's gonna be.
Yeah,
looks like he's gonna be pretty good.
It's different. He's a different body makeup now. So you're saying Milwaukee or Miami?
If I had to pick, I'd say Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Greek Freak.
Yeah.
With the homie.
Yeah. And then on the West, what are you thinking? Braden.
West. Say it. You gotta throw Golden State in.
Yeah. I think you're a Curry fan. No, I feel like you're a Curry fan for some reason, huh?
Who's not a Curry fan, though? Which is, who could love or hate him?
Yeah.
It's love or hate kind of thing. I hate it if I was guarding him for sure.
Yeah. No, you can't not dislike him for sure.
Who else in the West right now? That's Big Mac. Clippers. I'd say Clippers actually.
Yeah.
That's a sleeper pick.
For right.
Kawhi's my guy, man. What he did for the Raps,
Yeah.
always true. He'll always be my guy.
Yeah. 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 I mean, yeah, for sure. You can't take anything away from that. I feel like Toronto did a lot for him, though. I feel like, they put him in a position to thrive. But I just feel like, unfortunately, I just feel like it's a tad bit inconsistent in terms of this. So that's kind of like, it's like up and down, and obviously with the, it's I guess with the I guess potential health or whatnot, and all the injuries.
But skill wise, like that playoff performance for the Raptors is probably for me like one of the best, the best individual performance of all.
And that's probably what hurts so much. Is like, you had something really good. Like, why would you not,
Stay?
Like, one more year just to see if we can run it. It's like, why are you going to leave a good situation to go to?
He did what he had to do, bro.
Like a better team on paper, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, it's his hometown. But like
a paycheck.
Yeah, but it's like, like I just felt like, they helped, the team helped him get there, the coach and training staff and all that. And I mean, I just don't think he's performed that way since. Right? So it's like, so there, it is what it is. Okay, cool. So let's get going. Yeah, so considering my intros are horrible.
Yo,
I figured I'd start with a story. So I remember I came to your house once, and obviously I know your brother, and we've known each other for quite a while. But I came to your house once, and I was just there to see your brother or whatever, and we were talking, and then you were kind of telling me about what you're working on, and at that time it was WebForRealty, right? And you're kind of starting on that journey, and I think this was like 15 years ago, probably, give or take. I don't know if that's right. I was just trying to recollect, but a little less. Okay, a little less, yeah. 13. Okay, so you launched WebForRealty, but okay, and so I just wanted to kind of bring it back to that, and where were you in sort of your life in terms of saying, hey, I want to do this, I want to create this software, real estate sector. Like, how did you get there, and kind of what led you there?
And just getting out the answer you wanted. Yeah, my business partner Raza, I was still in university, finishing up. I think it was my last year university. Raza was working full time, and we would literally meet up every Friday night, order a pizza, and like think of ideas like how we gonna make $1 million.
That's it.
Every Friday.
That's it.
And at the time, Raza got his license, and he was helping his broker in the area, helping her with her marketing and website. And one of the Friday night ideas was like, I was helping this broker. She has this website that's like really outdated and like old. Like, why don't we do this and charge $20 a month? And for whatever reason, I was just like, like that's our $1 million idea.
That's it.
And like we just started from there. Didn't know what we were doing, but that just happened to be
a $20 website, and that's where it all kind of stemmed from.
Not a bad way to do it, though. Not a bad way to do it. It could have been anything, though. I gotta tell this to everyone. It's like, it could have been a restaurant, a transportation company. It just happened to be this software idea.
Yeah. And I feel like just what you said in terms of that environment and that, it's like, we all grew up kind of like saying, hey, how do we make $1 million? How do we really, how do we do something big? But like, just kind of setting up the environment of like, hey, let's do Friday pizza lunch, and let's just talk about ideas and think of ideas. And if you allocate that time and kind of, do that, it's like, in terms of, sort of, even with a lot of these accelerators and just like, communities around entrepreneurship, it's like, I feel like, doing those types of things where you're going out, you're networking, you're talking to people, you just start throwing around ideas, and you can come up with a $1 million idea, right? So that's interesting. So you guys just pizza kicked it and just said, hey, and that was it.
I think the idea, that's the easy part.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone has ideas and talk about it.
Yeah.
The hard part is execution. Actually take that next step. You're like, okay, let's do it now.
Yeah.
Stop talking and let's go.
Yeah. So that's like the bulk of the conversation I want to have is the execution, because I think I followed your story, throughout the years, and I kind of seen what you've accomplished, and I really like your story, because obviously you talk about the bootstrap and kind of taking that route, and I feel like you guys really grinded really hard to kind of build that business, and so we'll get into that. But in terms of university, so like, tell me about how big of a role that played in terms of kind of moving forward or thinking about that idea. That's my fault, right?
It's about 5, not 5.
Yeah, it's okay. So yeah, like university, and what kind of role that played in terms of not only maybe putting you in a position where you're thinking about, hey, how can I make $1 billion bucks? And I mean, that could, you don't even need a university to do that, but maybe like the next steps and kind of having a plan and the other factors that go into building a business.
Honestly, nothing, man. I'd say the only thing university gave me was that 4-year window where like I wasn't committed to anything to like just have time to like figure shit out.
Yeah.
Find the like-minded people.
I'm always interested to know, like, that aspect of it, because I feel like there's a lot of debate about, the value of colleges and universities and all that, but I feel like there is a lot of value there for some reason. Just in terms of like, did you meet your partner? Did you meet Raza there? Did you get like any, I guess like once you get to the execution part though, it helped. Like,
You're making me nitpick.
Really? But I mean, you might not even. It could be subconscious in terms of
Subconscious, that work ethic and commitment. So I majored in accounting, and
that's what I'll say. Even how you run a business from an accounting perspective, that's huge. Like that's significant. Like
Okay, you know what? Now, yeah. So
that's
if I had to sort of maybe connect the two, probably because of my accounting background in school, where like I naturally, took care of like the finance.
That's it. Yeah.
Fair.
It's an element. It's a big element, because I mean, you could have a good idea. You could hustle hard and unless you have that accounting component. We had another guest who says like, because of his account, that like that's why it's a big part of his success and how he runs his business. So I feel like there's there's good value there in terms of doing it, and like you said, just not rushing into something and having those 4 years, I guess, to just get some skills, meet some people, maybe get inspired or whatnot, and then move along.
I could have done way more networking for sure.
Yeah.
I went to Ryerson. It was commuter school, right? So yeah, it wasn't like sticking around and going to events. Like I think I went to one university party.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think networking is a big one.
So how'd you meet your partner? Let's get into that.
Through just a mutual friend. Nice.
Wow. Yeah. So you guys known each other for a while, right? Yeah, I think that's like the big one. Aside from obviously learning skills and all this, I think just the networking aspect. If that alone, like you can have 1 or 2 connections that can change your life in terms of being able to meet somebody that not gonna you can work with them, or you can collaborate, or have pizza lunches and come up with $1 million ideas, right?
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
It's big.
I think everyone's education story is a little different. I don't know. I don't think I got really any true value from university that helped my business. Like I really can say that for me at least.
Yeah.
Like even put an accounting problem in front of me today. Like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fair. Yeah. Interesting.
If that's fair.
Yeah. So you met your partner in high school. A big, question that I have is how, and I asked this to a few different people, and people have different opinions, but how important was that partnership, and do you think you could have done it alone?
that partnership was everything. So, man, we were like, I can't imagine a better business partner. Like we're a true yin yang. So we always call ourselves, because like what I can do, he can't do, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And like we just complemented each other very well, from not only like the what we took care of on the business, but like the personality side. Like it was yeah, we were a great team for sure.
So, so ultimately, you don't think you could have done it on your own?
I wouldn't necessarily say that,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
But you wouldn't maybe have been as successful because you wouldn't have that other side of the yin or yang right now, right?
For sure, yeah. I mean,
That's what it,
we wouldn't have got to where we are without each other.
as I'm saying, yeah. And it's like that's what I'm learning. Like, you know, it's a partnership is so big, and even like the networking, but the partnership piece, I'm just hearing it more and more often where I'm talking to successful people.
Common theme.
You know, it's like I'm good at this and I could drive this, but you know, you need these other pieces to run a business to be successful. So if you can, you know, kind of put together a little bit of a super, you know, a dream team.
Yeah, for sure. Like when you asked the question first, could I do it myself? Like, I don't know.
Exactly.
Maybe I could have been successful in another way. Maybe, you know, not to this level of success.
Yeah, yeah. We all have confidence that we could do it ourselves. And then, you know, even for me personally, it's like I've tried to, you know, I've done a lot of stuff on my own. And it's like you realize eventually though you kind of, you know, you need to fill in the gaps. And like you said, the yin and yang, it's like if you're just yin, you're trying to do this, but you know, there's all this other stuff that you might be missing or not seeing, or opportunities that might get away from you. So, but yeah, maybe just tell me about a little bit about that partnership and like some of the, like, you know, obviously you mentioned that there you excelled in certain things and then, you know, but just for other people that are looking at partners and looking at potentially partnering, is there something they should look out for, or you know, something that makes such a good partnership? Like what's like?
That's a good question. I think there's a lot to that. I think obviously the skill set in the business side, you should definitely complement each other, but it's deeper than that. Like we've been business partners for 12 years, you know, in a way it's like the equivalent to a marriage.
Yeah.
And you know, you got to communicate, you got to ride the ups and downs properly, and it all comes down to communication and a lot of trust.
So you're kind of,
Yeah, honestly.
yeah, honesty and integrity, I think are key.
That's everything. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend this to anyone, but like, we didn't even sign like a shareholder agreement, for example. I mean, we should have that level of trust with each
That's it.
Wow.
And that goes against like every textbook advice.
Yeah. But that's you know, part of a good partnership. That's awesome.
Give me one factor of your success. If you had to pick one thing that helped you get through, you know, talking about the ups and the downs, what's one thing that was key to your success if you had to pick and to narrow it down?
If you were to say like the one thing that really like
dedication,
just
commitment, to ride those waves up and down. How many pizza nights did you have to go through to get to that point? That's why I got to know.
Oh man, it's quite a few.
Yeah.
Put on many. Right? It's like, you know, yeah.
That's it all right there, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, commitment. It's very easy. I see so many startups and entrepreneurs who can't get past like the first year, 2 years to like really like, you know, get to that point where you start accelerating, getting traction.
Yeah.
It's very easy to give up, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people now they try to get to the finish line without running the race.
Yeah.
And that race is a marathon, so be committed and dedicated.
So that's an interesting concept. And then so on your biography, you say no plan Bs. And that was really interesting. So is that the mindset you think that entrepreneurs need to have to be successful?
I mean, I can speak for myself. That's just something I've always had, this mentality where it's like no plan Bs. If I commit to something that I say like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, like there's no plan Bs. Like a plan B to me is instilling a doubt of failure in your head. It's like tiny, it's basically planning for failure.
Yeah.
So it's like, why put that in your head? So like if you commit yourself to doing something, it's like, I'm going to do it.
And I think that's so strong because like, you know, I would say, you know, I'm always thinking about a backup in terms of like, not a backup, but like if I'm doing something and, you know, you want to like, this is the plan, but like, you might want to have a backup plan if that, you know, like in real estate, you invest or whatnot. It's like, you know, you might want to sell it in a year, you might want to hold it for 5, and then, you know, you have backups, right? So I you know, some people will kind of look at that as sort of a risk mitigation strategy, but in the sense of entrepreneurship, I think that's key to being successful, right? Because otherwise, it's like you're just, you know, you're looking at the plan B. And then the second thing is, now that you're sort of in the space of investing and maybe helping other entrepreneurs and looking at different companies, like, you know, you said you got to run the race and the marathon, but is there a point where, you know, you start looking at plan B's or like, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of like giving advice to exit strategy, not even exit strategy, but like, you know, if somebody's like, you know, whatever, however many years deep, but they're committed and they're, you know, like, I mean, Kevin O'Leary always says it. So, you know, he's like, he takes a different approach, right? But is your thought process that, like, you know, if you just grind it out and you're committed and you know, obviously you have to have, you know, certain attributes to the business that make sense in terms of, you know, the business model and partnerships and stuff. Like,
okay, when I say no plan B, obviously it's very circumstantial, right? So I can't say like I'm gonna make the NBA, like, you know, and fight.
So you got to have realistic.
Yeah, but at the same time, from a business sense, you know, taking my example, WebForRealty, we entered a very competitive space. Like, we did nothing revolutionary. We just went into this market. So my mindset is, if there's hundreds of other companies doing this, like, why can't we do it as well? Why can't we get our piece of the pie? Like, there's literally zero excuse or reason why we can't do it. If other human beings can do it, why can't I?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by no plan Bs.
Yeah.
The full student, no excuse, like no reason why you can't do something that's already existing.
Yeah. So it's just looking at it like that. And I think that is an important aspect to it, right? I think you got to have that mindset.
Yeah, and I just think, sorry, just to add to that, when you also say no plan Bs, like, to me, when you're thinking of a backup plan, a plan B, you're instantly increasing your chances of failure.
Yeah,
because you're putting it in your head. So your chances of not succeeding at this thing, I think, substantially increase by just having a plan.
Just having the thought process that, like, hey, if this doesn't work, then and that's true. And I think that's a great piece of advice in terms of just mindset.
And with that being said, like, I'm the type of person where, unless I'm like 100% like believe in it and I'm committed to it, like, I won't do it.
So that's like the first step.
Yeah, you know,
is like you gotta have the passion and you really believe in the project.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you gotta have, you know, the right people and the right business model. I think that your story with WebForRealty, that's why I wanted to bring you on and chat about it. I think it's kind of unconventional, right? In terms of like you mentioned, like, you know, not signing an agreement and just kind of like having this mindset. And it's like, not a lot of people look at it like that, right? Like when it comes to like, I just feel like it's a unique story, and I really, you know, I feel like, and it's right. It's like, you know, like, is that it's a competitive space, but why can't I? You know what I mean? A lot of people say, oh, it's a competitive space. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, from an investor standpoint, right? Like, you know, I'm working on a pitch deck now, and I'm talking to investors, and it's like, you know, they're all looking at it like, you know, from that angle where it's like, oh, it's a competitive space, this and this, and you just got to look at it from a different angle. And really believe in what you're doing and be committed to it.
Yeah, my thesis is a little different on the. I actually prefer operating in competitive markets, because when you're doing something in a competitive market, like, now you can skip the whole like product validation, product market fit, because, like, you know, there's dozens, if not hundreds, of other companies already doing it. So it's like, okay, great, that part's all done. Now it's just a matter of getting your piece of the pie. And a small piece, a small sliver of a big pie could be a really good business.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how I see it. I actually prefer to operate in competitive markets. I just think it's easier.
Yeah. As opposed to trying to do something completely different where the chances of success are much smaller, but maybe if you're a unicorn and you do something, like, you know, there's the reward, but you're saying it's safer to just go into a playground. That's right.
I think it's easier to execute. And but it also comes back to what your intentions are. Like, by operating in a competitive space, chances are you're not going to be like $1 billion company unicorn, but you might be like a $5 million, $10 million company, which for most people is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
More than enough.
Exactly. I love it.
That's a very interesting way to look at it, because no motivation, like,
that's a great motivation, because it's like,
nowadays, if you're a remote like SaaS software company doing like $2 million, $1 million, $2 million a year, like, you're living good.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good. It's a good. Yeah, it's a good. It's a good operation, and no, that makes perfect sense. And that kind of leads into my next question, which is, obviously you kind of bootstrapped your company, right? You bootstrapped WebForRealty, and I know you guys really, grinded it out in terms of the sales and really building that business from an idea. But what's your take on that versus like raising capital? Like, would you, in terms of other people that are, thinking about startups, do you kind of lean towards the bootstrap kind of route more than raise capital? Then when do you think maybe it's appropriate to look at raising capital?
I wouldn't say I lean towards one or the other. I think it's all circumstantial. Like when we were starting out, we were both living at home. We didn't have, bills and expenses. So we were kind of able to bootstrap and not pay ourselves for months or a year, whatever it was. Whereas if I was doing that today with bills and a mortgage and kids, I don't know if I would have bootstrapped. Maybe I would have looked for some funding. I don't know. So it really depends on back to what your intentions are, where you are in your life, and but yeah, I do think investment could be a great catalyst to help grow your company. Right?
Yeah.
But on the flip side, if you're able to bootstrap, then you have all the control. You can control of your own destiny.
Yeah.
Programming lines, a bit of
things, yeah. And if you were looking at raising funds, is there like a good point in the life cycle that you really think it's?
See, I'm not the best. I've never raised funds. In my life.
That's it. Yeah, and was
I'm not the best.
Pretty important thing to be able to say there. Not a lot of people can say that for sure. Starting their own business.
Yeah.
But what I do know is there's a ton of angel investors out there. There's money out there. So if you really are an entrepreneur or a startup who's looking for capital, just like back to our initial conversation and networking, hang in the right circle.
And just being in the real estate space, and obviously, we've developed the software too, and for our team specifically that we're looking at expanding and growing into a SaaS solution to bring it out to other people. So I think it's and just knowing the competitive landscape. There's been a lot of people that have raised, in the industry, like now with prop tech kind of growing, there's been a lot of companies that have raised some funds, right? And I feel like, so when I started building my software, I'd say it was about 3 years ago, I did obviously competitive, market analysis, and now I'm doing it again, just kind of looking at scaling it out a little bit, and it's like a completely different landscape. Like there's all these new players, and a lot of them have raised some funds, and it's like you see it that like these companies that have raised these funds, they've been able to accelerate much quicker, right, and get to like a different position, whereas I feel like the bootstrap route may not,
slower.
Yeah, it's a slower growth, right, and so it's an interesting kind of option in terms of doing it.
I think speed to market definitely is an important factor.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It's not everything. It's back to intentions. Like if you're trying to be like the top company in the industry, then if that's like your goal, like your vision statement in your office, like we want to be leaders in this space, like
you got to raise.
Maybe it makes sense to like go faster. But if your mission statement is I want to have full control and have a great lifestyle and, have fun.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe the speed doesn't matter.
Yeah, and then you don't have to have the board of directors and all the shareholders kind of, maybe tying you down. That's interesting. Have you now that you're kind of, I want to get into sort of what you're doing now, but are you, are you investing in companies, or are you focusing on other things? Are you looking at investing in companies, or you're investing in different things now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of what I call like shark mode. Like this, like my entrepreneur gene
just to
kick back, But I'm in the process right now of purchasing an app
Cool.
in the construction space.
Yeah. Oh, that.
Production company. Very cool. That's
So you just obviously throughout your time you've seen some pitch decks.
yeah, I've seen a few.
Yeah. Is there anything when it comes to a pitch deck that you're really looking at that's really critical for you? In terms of like a slide that's like
Not really. To me, it's more the person,
so
like
the team page,
individual.
the team page,
You
man.
gotta see that hunger. You gotta see that no plan B,
Or the-
attitude.
Yeah,
Bingo, someone.
that's so. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
Pitch deck is a pitch deck. Like
Yeah.
you can have the most amazing pitch deck that's incredible, and then you speak to the person that put together, and like, you know, they're out partying every weekend.
yeah,
Just you don't see the connection. So I don't know. To me, it's more the person.
yeah. That's kind of what I've also come to learn, and I've spoken to a few investors now, and it's like they say like the team page, like that's like you got to have the team, whether it's the team or whether it's an individual. It's really the people, right? And that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. If you ain't got the right people and it's not the right fit for whatever reason, it's I think that's really important.
What I want to know is,
We always have some
always, it's either an ambulance or a firefighter or some kid.
Some kid in their father's car. Anyways, I want to talk about the exit. What point, you've been growing this thing for so long, been working on it for whatever it was, 12 years, like you said it was. At what point were you like, okay, it's time to get out of this thing? Was a certain point in your life or the company reached a certain point in the business, that right offer came? What was the mindset there?
That's a loaded one. I think it's just kind of a bit of everything. Like you said, we've been in it 12 years. You evolve as a person, and like your interests start to go in other places, and it was basically just the right time for both of us to move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in terms of exits, because it's a big piece of starting a business, and I guess with your mindset and kind of that no plan, but like I guess you didn't really plan for an exit up until maybe a certain point, or were you
Time in your life.
were you planning for it? Like, did you have a plan? Because nowadays it's like and again I've been talking to investors, and it's like they want to like see a plan for an exit or something, right? For them it's like they're investing, so they want to know there's gonna be an exit, right? But do you think that's the right approach, or do you think it's better not to plan for an exit and kind of just
Yeah, I mean, I think I knew early on that every business in the world exchanges hands at some point. You either pass away, you either give it to your kids, it goes out of business, you sell it. Like at one point, like you're gonna be taken away from that business. It's gonna exchange hands at some point. So knowing that, like I always knew like the realistic step for us was eventually going to be an exit. And like, I didn't know when, or we never timed it. It just sort of happened when it happened. But I knew I started like planting seeds kind of early on and making a network and the connections early on. Cause I knew at some point we were going to do it. Right.
Yeah. And then is there anything, obviously networking is a big one, but is there anything else that you would recommend in terms of planning for an exit?
There's a lot of things. I mean, if you know that so if you're in the SaaS space, I can speak for SaaS because that was our space. Once you reach a certain point, you get a lot of cold emails from like private equity companies that just like hit your inbox all the time saying, and they're canned emails, but they're like, we're interested in acquiring you or investing. Most people will kind of just like to archive those emails, but I always made it a point to actually like set up calls with these people, not to. And with no intention of selling, but just to make the connection and, have that person in my online Rolodex. So when the time came, I'd have someone to reach out to.
Yeah.
So I always did that. And more like practical tip would be just have your numbers in order. Like know your numbers, have a clean set of books.
Yeah.
And just operate a clean process.
Yeah. And that's a big one. No, those are great tips. And then, I guess with the Rolodex, you can get, eventually once the time comes, you can launch the auction.
Exactly. At least you've already built a report, they know who you are. And then at the same time, you also learn, because every investor has different set of criteria as well, right? So just understand how different companies think about acquiring and investing.
How to approach each individual differently or each organization differently based on what they're trying to accomplish and do. That's great tips. That's amazing. Can we talk about the WebForRealty exit, or
What do you want to know?
just I mean just a deep like
I mean, it's not, can't get into like the details in terms of, you know, numbers and values, but, you know, in terms of experience, I can
yeah.
more than happy to.
How much did that process of taking those conversations with those people who were looking to acquire you early on, how much did that help when it came down to, you know, finally letting go of this thing?
Well, how were they one of the Rolodex guys, or did they just?
There you go.
Yeah, kind of yes and no. Like
Okay.
we knew about them. We
Got
knew they were acquiring companies, and
Got it.
yeah,
Okay.
like we knew each other.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So so I mentioned that you know I launched a team about 4 or 5 years ago. No, 5 years ago, and then you know when I worked for a builder before, had a software marketing, and you know I kind of entered this space with kind of the idea of, you know, it's kind of different than you know, in real estate. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. Like there's just so much in real estate in terms of we talk about it all the time in terms of different businesses you can operate in, but even from like a, you know, prop tech, it's just huge. Like there's so many different angles: property management, real estate agents, teams, pre-con, builders. Like it's crazy. I mapped out there 30 processes in the real estate process, but it's just, there's so much going into it. So kind of like having sort of the builder experience, I kind of had this idea that, you know, there's a lot of things that are broken, and there's a lot of solutions that really aren't out there that can solve a lot of the problems when it comes to sales, marketing, operations. Now kind of being in real estate, I've been able to see that from the resale side. And again, it's very, very fragmented in terms of the operations. Like I run a team. I know a lot of team owners and team leaders that have teams, and yeah, it's like, you know, a lot of them are probably using 10 to 20 different tools to do different things and be able to operate it. It's really tough. So one thing that I'm working on now is kind of developing the software and going to market with sort of a concept and a vision. Or for real estate teams specifically, I think that's an emerging market, and obviously, a lot of, it's hard to operate on by yourself as a single agent these days. You can't compete really. You need sort of that collaboration, whether it's maybe 2 or 3 people, or whether it's, a whole team or whatnot. I feel like to really be able to deliver for clients, you need that. So I'm kind of going through that process of we're in an accelerator right now, and we're working on the pitch deck. So maybe can we just talk about sort of that industry? Obviously, you have a wealth of experience, right, being a real estate SaaS company, but like your thoughts on sort of where maybe you see some issues, some gaps, some opportunities, and things like that.
Yeah. So we're talking about like real estate agents.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying. It's like there's so many different processes, so many different people. Like even so, like for us, let's say we have a real estate team, and you can imagine in the process of, whether it's selling or buying, there's just so many people involved. When it comes down to, on a team, you have other associates, you have sort of, you want to stay accountable. And you might be engaged in coaching sessions and really get that part of it. But then when it comes down to the transaction, you got your mortgage broker, your lawyer involved. You might have an inspector, you might be staging, you might be doing this. It's like a real estate agent wears so many hats if they're trying to do it alone. And that's where, with teams, it's like now you're able to split that work up, really be able to provide really good services in all these departments. But from a software perspective, it's like is very difficult. There's nothing really, they have a lot of all-in-one kind of stuff. But I mean, just from, whether it's pre-construction or resale, like the real estate agent side, and real estate operation side, just in that bubble alone, do you see any, any interesting opportunities or?
Just general thoughts. I mean, you're right. It's a very it's a very saturated market. There's literally tools for everything, and it's very easy for an agent to get overwhelmed with everything that's out there. I think on like thinking of it from a perspective of a company, I would just say that it really helps to truly define as granular as possible, like who exactly are you helping? Like, is it like I'm a company that helps real estate agent teams, or like, and you can even get more specific than that. But I think that the more micro and granular you can get, just the easier it becomes to like actually reach these people and get your communication and your messaging across and become relatable. Whereas like another, like the company that bought us, Elm Street, that great company, they have a pretty awesome vision, I guess. Like, you know, I think the average real estate agent pays for 12 softwares or apps to like run their business. Like they're on a mission to just consolidate, make that one.
That's it.
You know, so there's opportunity in that.
Yeah.
There's so much to.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like, and that's really, so now that I'm doing my research and kind of looking into these companies, I came across Elm Street but there's just so many out there, right? There's like a whole bunch of different software tools, and it's like, it's like you have these sort of kind of micro standalone tools that solve problem X, and then there's like 30 problems, or you got the all-in-one solutions where I find that these companies are trying to do so much, and it's like, but by the time you do something, it's already changed because real estate's changing. And it's like 5 years ago, real estate was completely different. You know, so it's like now you're playing this catch-up game where you're got this development pipeline that's, whatever, and it's going to take you time. And then by the time you get there, it's, and then you're just trying to figure out what the team needs, and the needs could change and all this. So it's just like, that's kind of where I see the market right now, is like you have the all-in-ones that are just trying to, keep up. And then you got the micros, and it's difficult because, for the agent, it's like so many options, and you don't know which one's the right one. But, that's where I'm at, like in terms of, I see some opportunity in that space. If you could really, from the ground up, look at it from that perspective. And for me, it's like I have sort of the background from the pre-construction and from the resale side and kind of the operations, and I'm seeing all this, and so I'm just trying to map out and get on the map.
That reminds me of sort of another motto that I kind of operate with, which is ready, fire, aim. So most people like to get ready, they like to aim, figure it out, and then like launch. Whereas I sort of do things like, I'm gonna get ready, I'm just gonna fire, I'm gonna just put it out there, do it, and then like figure it out as what I see is a lot of people get too caught up on this, the business plan, like trying to make things perfect, build the perfect product.
Yeah.
And true, it's never gonna be perfect. You just said it, like it changes week to week, month to month. So like I say, just put it out.
In the context of what we're discussing, so in the context of what we're discussing, yeah, of course it's going to change and you're going to have to adjust. But in the context of what we're discussing, it's like the real estate, process is just so robust. And I feel like there's some players that maybe, are 10 years old or whatnot. And there's certain fundamentals when it comes down to building a scalable business. And I think it's important to start with, if you want to have that vision or whatnot, there's some fundamentals, because then you get caught in the situation where, with software, how it is. It's like, you start developing something, and then how, you want to scale this, or you want to add this, and it becomes more and more difficult. And then at that point, you just got this cumbersome thing that you're just adding stuff to. And, it's like, should we have done this from the beginning? Whatever it is, whether it's technologies or whether it's, how you build out the features or the core databases. That's kind of where I see the opportunity, is like, looking at this from the ground level and kind of making sure that you understand the pieces that are important and building them up so that, that you kind of have a core product that addresses the most important pieces and then is scalable. And that's kind of where I'm at with Ethos Space.
I hear you. I think at the end of the day, it's very simple. If you can really provide value to your customer, then like it's kind of impossible to lose, right?
Yeah. I got that vision you were saying, like, you know, taking over the whole game. That's where I'm at. I got the big dream, so I'm just going, you know, little by little, step by step. Yeah, so just to sum it up, like, is if there was, you know, an opportunity or a challenge in that space that you kind of see that's interesting, is there anything that, like, you would say, even if it's like something like, hey, this is, you know, like, let's talk about NFTs. So you got some Bitcoin, you know, you're I saw some Bitcoin content that you're putting out, but and that's one of the things. It's like, hey, we don't know if real estate and NFTs and cryptocurrencies are gonna be integrated in the next 5 years. You know, it's like things are changing, right? So you think I think that's interesting?
I definitely think it's interesting.
Yeah.
I personally have never purchased an NFT.
Oh,
You know, I think in most cases they're just bubbles that we've seen have popped in the last year with all the money floating around. And
yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I was talking to a developer recently, and he was mentioning that he's engaged in a project, and basically the concept is, you know, shared ownership. I think shared ownership is going to be huge because real estate is too expensive. And he was saying how through the blockchain, and maybe it was necessarily NFTs, but basically, you know, just the cost of the transaction, having that record. Like, I think there's cryptocurrencies and the blockchain. I think that's not going nowhere, and I think whatever form it might be, whatever you know, currency or whatnot, but I think just that technology is here to stay, and it's just going to be a matter of the banks and legislation adopting it eventually. That's right.
I agree.
I mean, I don't know, like, in terms of the values, and, you know, are these NFTs, like, probably not. Like, there's going to be a lot of NFTs that are worthless eventually, but I think the technology is going to be here to stay. He was saying how this shared ownership platform, basically, it's like, you know, you can just easily buy the shared ownership through a token, and it just makes things so much simpler, right? Because if you think about a shared ownership process now, it's like so cumbersome, so crazy, and if you can have those low transaction fees or gas fees, whatever they call them, I feel like it's gonna help accelerate, and just, you know, anything that makes something simpler and easier, I think it has a place. And
There's a lot of companies now, like one that I own in Canada called Addy. I don't know if you heard of them. Addy Invest. So they're basically some builder out from Vancouver, I believe. And yeah, they basically make real estate investing accessible to any Canadian. So you can invest.
yes, at ADDY. Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
Invest in projects for as little as, like, you know, $10 or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, and I think basically that's what that platform was. Yeah, I guess that's what that platform was. I guess the advantage is just, I guess, the fees associated with making transactions are much less.